Today's video is all about Victor Lustig, the ultimate con artist of the 20th century. His scams are still remembered and retold to this day. Not much is known about Lustig's childhood. He was born and raised in Czechia, and, worth noting, he actually came from a wealthy family. He received a solid education and was fluent in 5 languages. It seemed like he had the perfect setup for a comfortable, respectable life, but he chose a very different path. By the age of 19, Victor had already become a card shark. This happened during his travels across Europe on luxury cruise liners. Being both charming and highly intelligent, he quickly mastered card tricks and gambling scams. His main targets? Wealthy passengers, businessmen, aristocrats, and thrill-seekers willing to take financial risks. But for Lustig, card cheating wasn't just a way to make money. It was the first step toward much bigger cons. While traveling, Lustig came up with a no-lose lottery scam. On cruise ships, he posed as a representative of a lottery company running a special promotion, promising that every ticket was a winner. Even if someone lost, they'd still receive a consolation prize, either a refund or a cheap trinket. But there were also big winners. Whenever someone hit the jackpot, Lustig would congratulate them, saying something like, "Oh, I don't carry large prizes with me. Once we reach our final destination, just go to this bank and claim your winnings." He'd give them an address and disappear. Of course, when the victims arrived at the bank, they realized they'd been scammed. And by then, Lustig was long gone. In 1914, as World War I broke out, Lustig decided to get as far away from the war as possible and headed to Chicago. And let's just say, he fit right in. At the time, the US economy was booming, and Lustig was exactly the kind of guy that era embraced. Successful, well-dressed, well-mannered, and incredibly charismatic. Lustig often visited high-end places, luxury hotels, casinos, and elite clubs. That's where he looked for potential victims among businessmen, investors, and bankers. He would share made-up success stories and frequently showcased his so-called miracle device, the money printing machine. The trick was simple. Lustig preloaded the machine with 2 or 3 real banknotes. When a victim inserted a blank sheet of paper and started the printing process, after a few hours, the machine would spit out a genuine $100 bill. The scam was so convincing that even a town sheriff fell for it. Lustig sold him the machine for $30,000, which was an absolute fortune at the time. When the sheriff finally realized he'd been scammed, he searched the entire city for Lustig. But by then, the con artist was long gone. But the scam that truly made Lustig famous was his legendary con involving the Eiffel Tower. After World War I, Lustig returned to Europe, this time to France. Today, the Eiffel Tower is one of the most iconic landmarks in the world. But back then, Parisians actually hated it. Many considered it an ugly eyesore that ruined the city's skyline. Lustig saw an opportunity and decided to exploit the public sentiment. He invited 6 major scrap metal dealers to a luxury hotel in Paris, posing as a government official, overseeing a secret auction. All 6 businessmen showed up, and during the meeting, Lustig announced that the French government had decided to tear down the Eiffel Tower and was looking for buyers to purchase it for scrap metal. To make the scheme more convincing, he emphasized that the deal had to remain confidential to avoid public backlash. Over several meetings, Lustig carefully studied his targets, looking for the most gullible and eager businessmen. His ideal victim? André Poisson. Lustig then arranged a private meeting with Poisson, where he played on his fear, suggesting that other buyers might snatch the deal. He also hinted that a small bribe could guarantee Poisson's success. And just like that, Poisson took the bait. Not only did he hand over the bribe, but he also made the first installment on the purchase. With the money in hand, Lustig vanished and went into hiding, expecting his scam to make headlines in every major newspaper. But weeks passed, and there was no news. Why? Because Poisson, embarrassed by the scam, decided to keep quiet rather than publicly admit he had been fooled. Feeling unstoppable, Lustig returned to Paris a few months later and tried the same scam again. But this time his new target got suspicious and alerted the police. Realizing he was about to get caught, Lustig fled the city in a hurry, narrowly escaping arrest. Over time, Lustig's scams started looking less like clever cons and more like outright robbery. He no longer hesitated to use theft and other less elegant ways to make money. And that's when he remembered his money printing machine scam. But this time, he took it to the next level and started counterfeiting US dollars for real. In the 1930s, along with his partner Thomas Shaw, Lustig ran one of the largest counterfeit operations in US history. They produced extremely high-quality fake $100 bills, so good that even banks couldn't detect them right away. These fake bills became known as Lustig's Hundreds. Once he became a full-scale counterfeiter, he attracted serious attention from both the FBI and the US Secret Service. Lustig was now America's most wanted con artist, and this time, he wouldn't be able to talk his way out of it. In 1935, Lustig was finally arrested. But, in classic Lustig style, he escaped from a federal prison in New York. He tied bed sheets together to make a rope and climbed out of his cell. After spending a month on the run, he was caught again. This time, there was no escape. He was sent to one of the most secure prisons in the country, Alcatraz. And that's where his story ends. Of course, I've only shared a small part of his life, focusing on the scams that have actual confirmed records. Lustig is more than just a con artist. He's a legend, with stories about him passed down like folklore. This was the very first video on this channel, so if you enjoyed this format, leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.